Today's video is going to be all about 7 fragrances that I'm a little bit obsessed with right now. So if you want to find out more, then please keep on watching. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you're visiting. Thank you so much for joining me today. As already mentioned in the intro, today's video is going to be all about 7 different fragrances that I'm currently obsessed with, and I know that I'm going to wear a lot in this fall season. So without further ado, let's jump into the first fragrance. The first fragrance, I have been waiting very patiently for this one to release, and it is from Dora, and this one is called Mallow. And I was able to sample this one back in March when I visited Essence, which is a fragrance exhibition in Milan. And Dora had their 2 next releases there for everyone to try, and Mallow was one of those 2 fragrances. Now, I did briefly mention this fragrance in a video back in around April time, talking about new and exciting releases that I'm looking forward to, and Mallow is finally launching and I cannot be more excited about it. I also think quite a few of you are excited for Mallow too, so I'm here to tell you what my thoughts are about it and what it actually smells like. So I can see why it's called Mallow. You definitely get some sort of marshmallow vibe that comes from the composition, but you're also getting a little bit of fruitiness. So I pick out some strawberry, and there is an orange blossom note, but it kind of does smell like orange marshmallows with powdered sugar all over them. You've also got some light strawberry powdered marshmallows too. And then there's a big cloud of sensual vanilla. It's not too sweet at all, it's more of a powdery vanilla. And then there's lots of musk in here too. I think it's an incredible composition. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. And I feel like those sweet notes are balanced out very perfectly with the more powdery notes in here. So I mentioned that I perceive kind of a powdered sugary vibe in here, but it also features a violet note and heliotrope, which will add to the powdery quality. And then you've got that beautiful sweet orange blossom note. There's the strawberry, as I've mentioned, and then there's lots of vanilla and musk. The sillage of this is absolutely incredible, and it has beautiful longevity. They've really let this one macerate and not rushed to launch it, and I think it was such a great idea. The packaging of the 2 new Doras is beautiful too. If you don't know much about Dora, their original collection came in black frosted glass with a black marble top, and I like these new white marble editions. I think very fitting for the collection. I think Mallow suits this packaging extremely well, and I'm definitely going to be talking about this in quite a few more videos to come. But wow, this one, if you want a sweet orange blossom musky fragrance that's a little bit fruity, that's also vanillic and has some beautiful powdery touches to it, that is also going to last and give you a beautiful scent bubble, get your nose on Mallow and do let me know what you think about it. Super excited about this launch, and yeah, had to start off with this fragrance. The next fragrance is Xerjoff Symphonium, and I have wanted to add this beauty to my collection for the longest time. And Twisted Lily are currently doing a campaign all about zodiac signs. And if you don't know, I am a Libra, and it is currently Libra season, and Twisted Lily asked me to pick a fragrance for Libra season that I felt suited my own zodiac sign, and I went with Symphonium. And the reason being is Libras are known for being very balanced. They're also known for being a little bit shy, but yet at the same time, they can be very feisty. They're a little bit more reserved, and they are known for being more of a mediator kind of personality. Now, obviously, this is just stereotyping a whole zodiac sign, but fellow Libras out there, let me know some of your personality traits, because I find zodiac signs really, really interesting. I would say I'm quite balanced. I'm very emotional. I am very feisty. I'm introverted, very, very introverted, yet at the same time, I have confidence when I'm doing something that I love. I'm a little bit reserved, but when I know someone really well, I can be very outgoing. So a little bit of a snapshot into my personality. So that is why I felt like Symphonium perfectly matched the Libra zodiac sign. It's a balanced fragrance. Now this is a gourmand with some very sweet notes, but it has been balanced to perfection. It has that subdued, almost shy quality, yet at the same time, it's very feisty because of some of the notes. So it has kind of two different personalities in a way. Now, this is a chocolate orange fragrance with a twist. And this is the most beautiful combination of chocolate and orange together. It's very sophisticated. When you hear chocolate and orange, you're probably thinking, oof, I don't want to smell like straight up chocolate orange. I don't want it to smell too juvenile or too overly sweet. And it doesn't do that. So what I get from this is more of a kind of milky chocolate, but it's almost a mixture between milk chocolate and dark chocolate, but it's been powdered. You've got a hint of cardamom adding a little bit of spice. You've got this realistic, juicy orange with a little bit of the orange rind in there too. And then to balance out those sweeter notes, you also have some extremely smooth oud in the base. It's just perfect in my opinion. It's a little bit vanillic too. I love that touch of spice from the cardamom. I love the use of chocolate in here. And if you have never tried Symphonium and you love the sound of those types of notes, I would highly recommend getting a sample of it. I will link a sample down below. I believe Twisted Lily should have a sample of this one, but extremely special. I'm intrigued who is into zodiac signs here. Please do let me know down in the comments below. I know it's not for everyone, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to pick Symphonium to match my own zodiac sign. The next fragrance is from Nuit Nomade, and this one is Suma Oriental. And I'm sure most of you know my love for the brand already. I highly, highly recommend sampling Nuit Nomade. They do a fantastic discovery set. And now we are going into the fall and winter season. Suma Oriental is so special, and it has a little bit of a chokehold on me at the moment because it's such a beautiful, almost ambery fragrance, although I don't believe there's any amber listed. It's got some cacao in here, there's some tonka bean, it's a little bit spicy. It is super comforting, very complex, and it just feels like a warm hug to me, maybe by a fireplace. I think it's a very special fragrance. You've got a little bit of rum in here, which adds a booziness, definitely getting some woodiness too. There's some sandalwood and some gaiac wood. I get a tad bit of vanilla too. There's some patchouli that really grounds this, but I definitely pick up on the cacao. A little bit of spices. I get that rum, so I definitely get the booziness. I perceive there to be like a resinous ambery note in here. If you could imagine Maison Francis Kirk de Jean's Grand Soir, but add in some cacao, some rum, and some spices, that is what you are getting with Suma Oriental. It sticks to my skin like glue, and like I said, it just feels like a warm hug in a bottle. I definitely recommend this one for the fall and the winter time, and I'm intrigued to know if any of you have already sampled Suma Oriental, and if so, what do you think about it? But yeah, highly recommend checking out Nuit Nomade. I have a buying guide on my channel, but their discovery set is one of the best on the market. I've said this quite a few times in my videos. Really well put together. You get customized little paper strips which have the notes on it, which makes it really easy to sample all of the fragrances within the discovery set. But anyway, I'm obsessed with Suma Oriental at the moment, and I know I'm going to be wearing this one a lot in the fall and winter time. The next fragrance is from Rosendo Mateu, and this is 1970. And I have been patiently waiting for this one to launch because it's another fragrance that I tested back in March when I was in Milan. And I remember I was with Gabby from Gabby Loves Perfumes at the time, and we both sampled this and gasped out loud because we both just absolutely loved that initial impression. And this is for the gourmand lovers. Definitely fall and winter appropriate. Incredibly, incredibly delicious. This is another fragrance with chocolate, but it also has lots of tonka bean. You've got some spices in here too. It's a little bit earthy. There's some fruity notes up top, but I don't necessarily pinpoint what kind of fruit is in here. It's a little bit citrusy. I would say I get a slight orangey hit. And this is not similar to Symphonium in any way. They're very different fragrances. So I'm just going to spray it quickly on my hand because I want to just remember what it smells like a little bit. Oh, the feeling of milk chocolate. How do I describe that? It's creamy, it's decadent. You're getting that really milky chocolate vibe in there. And now the fruits are coming through. I'm getting that little bit of orange that I mentioned, or like citrusy notes. There's some spices. I can't really tell what spices, but maybe cinnamons, nutmegs, that type of thing. I have sprayed the juice all over the front of this bottle. Let me just clean it. Yes, I'm wearing my dressing gown on the bottom half of me, so that is what this is. Right, nice and clean again. So this is just chocolate gourmand heaven. There's lots of vanilla and tonka bean in the base. There's some musk too, which helps ground this fragrance. But even though it's a chocolate fragrance, I don't feel like it's cloying in any way. It's almost got this powdered vibe to it. I highly recommend anyone that loves gourmand fragrances to get their nose on 1970 because wow, I still have that same reaction to this as I did when I first sampled this one back in March. It's a beautiful creation from Rosendo Mateu. I think it's absolutely going to be a standout fragrance and I can't wait to hear more people's opinions when they get to sample this one. But yeah, 1970 is very, very special indeed. The next fragrance is another new release, and this one is from Electimuss, and it is called Vanilla Edesia. And this is another fragrance that I managed to sample ahead of the launch. I sampled this one, I think it was about 3 months ago, and it was when they were launching their last fragrance. And I got to smell a little sample, didn't know what the fragrance was going to be called, didn't know what any of the notes were in the composition, but I remember just being like, wow, this might be my favorite Electimuss fragrance. And if you watch my channel, you will know I love Mercurial Cashmere from Electimuss, but Vanilla Edesia, this is a very, very special composition. Now, this is an extremely complex fragrance. Don't think you're just going to get a straight up vanilla because you are not. This is one of the most complex vanillas in my collection. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a vanilla fragrance per se. It's spicy, it's floral, it's a little bit woody too. There's definitely vanilla in here and you get a kind of lactonic creaminess in the dry down, but I'm also getting lots of spices. There's some coriander and cumin, which are quite prominent in the opening. And then you also get quite a lot of rose and ylang ylang in the opening too. There's quite a big dose of frankincense in here and also lots of patchouli. I personally pick out quite a lot of that patchouli. Luckily, I love patchouli as a note, but if you are not a fan of patchouli, do make sure that you sample this one first. Now, I've spoken to a few other people that have tried this one, and there are some differing opinions of what it smells like. So I thought I would just share that with you because it might be helpful. So one person described it as smelling a little bit like Blanche Bette, but a spicier and more complex version. Another person described it as smelling a little bit like Amber Oud, but take out the big dose of rose in there and add more vanilla. So that is just to set the scene a little bit. Now, I don't necessarily get either of those comparisons, but I understand where they are coming from. I think this is a very beautiful, complex, spicy floral vanilla with a woody nuance in here too. It's definitely unisex. It's definitely going to be head turning. It's got a mega projection. So people are absolutely going to smell you wearing this. but I definitely get a big dose of patchouli. I would highly recommend sampling this one. If and when you do sample this one, please do let me know what you think about it. And also, are you excited about this new release? So yeah, that was Vanilla Edesia by Electimuss. Next up is an incredibly gourmand fragrance, and it is from Chabaud, and this one is called Lait Biscuit. And yes, it does give you the feeling of a warm, buttery vanilla biscuit. Very, very gourmand, as I just mentioned. And yeah, it really smells edible. So if edible fragrances are not your thing, then you might want to avoid this one. But if you are a lover of gourmand fragrances, please try this one. They have such great gourmand fragrances in general in the collection, but Lait Biscuit, this one makes me hungry. I straight up get a warm, buttery, sugary biscuit with some caramel drizzled throughout it. That is the vibe, no less, no more. It's a straight up buttery, sweet biscuit. I feel like the name sums it up. I don't have that much more to say about it at this stage just because it's so new in my collection. But from the moment I sprayed this one on, I was in heaven. Gourmand heaven. So let me come back to you when I've worn this one a few more times, but I am currently very, very obsessed with Lait Biscuit. And the last fragrance that I want to share today is from Rania J, and this one is Moschus. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this one correctly. Sorry to mention this fragrance again so soon, but I absolutely love it. And I'm sure if you watch my videos regularly and you know about the kind of fragrances that I really enjoy, this one fits me so perfectly. It's kind of a little bit similar to my favorite Musk Therapy by Initio, but I would say this one is a little bit more sweet. It's a little bit more fruity, and it does project more, and it lasts longer. So if you're looking for a musky fragrance, but with a bit more sweetness that lasts all day and projects beautifully, this is one I would highly recommend trying out. So it's definitely a musk fragrance, but you get a really juicy blackcurrant note up top, and it adds a beautiful sweetness to the overall musky quality of this fragrance. There's also quite a big dose of vanilla in here, which adds to that blackcurrant sweetness and stops this from being an overly musky fragrance. But then you add in some classy iris, love iris in fragrances, and then a touch of sandalwood. It's just a really, really beautifully composed musk fragrance. I can definitely see this becoming one of my favorite musks in my collection. It's definitely getting close to Musk Therapy. Obviously, I've worn Musk Therapy a lot more times, so I need a little bit more experience with this one before it can dethrone any of my other favorites. But wow, this is such a beautiful, sweet, musky fragrance that has the most gorgeous scent bubble and lasts all day. So yeah, had to include this one again in my video. I do have a discount code as well with Rania J, which I forgot to mention in my previous video. I wasn't sure if I had one or not, but I do, so I will add that one down in the description box below. So those were all of the fragrances that I wanted to feature in today's video. Please do let me know your thoughts, whether or not they're good thoughts or bad thoughts. I would love to hear your opinions on these fragrances, but I would also love to know what fragrances you are currently obsessed with, so I can find some new fragrances to discover myself. But thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you so much, and goodbye.